Hey, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you books that are special that I own. They're either special for sentimental value or because they are signed. I have a couple signed copies of books that I want to tell you about. And only one of them was purposely signed. All the other ones were like, oh my gosh, I found this and it's signed. So I'm gonna just get right into some books that hold special place in my heart or are signed, because I have two that are signed that I have no significant memorable value to them. They're just signed, so I thought I'd throw those in at the end. The first thing that's special to me is I have a nice, well, it's not really a collection, but it is kind of a collection of The Fault in Our Stars, copies of The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I know that a lot of people don't like John Green, and it was very like a high school girl phase, but I loved them, and I will never not love The Fault in Our Stars. My 16th birthday party was literally at the movie premiere for The Fault in Our Stars, even though that was like a month before my birthday. My mom surprised me and like packed out the theater. She bought, like, rented a theater, and they played like a movie of like videos and pictures of me for my 16th birthday, and then we watched The Fault in Our Stars, and I got to take a movie poster home. So I have a movie poster of from The Fault in Our Stars, like from the movie theater, in my closet that was signed by everyone that was at the party. So The Fault in Our Stars has been really big for me. The first copy I ever bought of The Fault in Our Stars, I will show you. It is torn up. I let someone borrow it, and when they gave it back, it was destroyed. The first copy of The Fault in Our Stars I owned is this metallic-y one. As you can see, it is literally destroyed. I let someone borrow it, and they gave it back to me like that. It is the collector's edition. When I was in there, I was like, hey, I'll just go ahead and get the collector's edition. I don't know why. I had never read this book before, but I just went for it. This is the copy that I have. Let me find highlights in it. So I highlighted all the quotes I like. I have read this book 6.5 times. I got halfway through it and then quit. So, and this one has got a blue cover with like the signature imprinted on it. But this is my trusty dusty The Fault in Our Stars original copy. And the reason I think too that I'm so attached to this is most people have read this book. You know, Hazel Grace has cancer, and her problem is her lungs, but it started in her thyroid. They thought that I had thyroid cancer, had to have surgery, and I turned out fine, but it was the first time anyone had ever mentioned anything about thyroids in a book, and people don't really talk about it. And so it was I felt very connected to her as a person, even though her problem was in her lungs. I related to it, and so I really attached myself to this book, and I love it. I've had the extended edition of the movie, and I made my whole family watch it with me. So obviously when this got torn up, I was very upset. But the movie was coming out. So I have a second copy of this book. This is the only book that I have multiple copies of. I have 3 copies. The second copy is the movie paperback. I don't think I've ever actually read from this copy of this book if it's ever been open. It's just on my shelf. Obviously, I was obsessed, so I was like, oh, I have to have the movie copy as well. And it was nice, and I thought to myself, well, my other one's messed up, so I need this one. But little did I know, I was getting another hardcover version of it for Christmas. The third copy I have of The Fault in Our Stars is the normal paperback of The Fault in Our Stars, but here's the story behind this. So for Christmas, my mom emailed John Green's publishers begging them basically for a signed copy of this book because she knew I was obsessed with it, and they sent one. So this copy is signed by John Green. Yeah, so I have 3 copies of this book. I have the original collector's edition that I bought, the movie copy, and I have a normal paperback that is signed by John Green. And I will never get rid of all of these books. I love them so much, and they hold a special place in my heart. So that is why I have that many copies of The Fault in Our Stars. The next set of books I also have a special place in my heart. Shout out to my best friend. So the reason I became friends with my best friend, who I've been best friends with since, like, we knew each other freshman year of high school, but didn't really talk until sophomore year of high school, when she saw me reading in computer science and asked me what I was reading, and I explained to her, we talked about it, and she was reading City of Bones. And so she told me, hey, you should read this book, and that is what started our friendship. I have not read any of the new ones. I really want to. I have them, and I'm going to show you a couple copies now. But I've read all of the Mortal Instruments and all of the Infernal Devices, and it was all because of London. And we're still friends. We even had the little parabatai necklaces that was like the symbol matching necklaces. And so this book holds a special place in my heart purely because it is the reason that I'm friends with her, or at least that like we ever talked in the first place. And so it's really special to me because of that, and I have a couple of special editions of this book, or of these books. So the first one, I have the collector's first edition of Clockwork Princess. This is one of my favorite books as well. Love this series. This is my favorite of the ones I've read. I haven't read any of like the new ones like Lady Midnight, and I haven't read the Chain of Gold, any of those. But of the ones I've read, this is my favorite, and it is collector's first edition. So that is really nice. So the next one I have, or two I have, is Chain of Gold and Chain of Iron. So my Chain of Iron is a collector's first edition. I pre-ordered this, even though I have not read it, purely because the cover is so beautiful. So I do have a collector's first edition of this book, and I like that on Cassie Clare's books they say it down here, like it says collector's first edition and that little thing. So that's really nice. But this copy of Chain of Gold, it's not a first edition, but it is signed by Cassie Clare. I had not read any of these. I had been years out of it. I had Lady Midnight. I tried to read it and I didn't get through it. And I was in Barnes & Noble with my mom, and they had one of those tables where they have signed copies of books. And I saw this on there and I was like, oh my gosh, it's a signed copy of a Cassie Clare book, and I need one purely because she, you know, created a really good friendship I had, and is one of the books that like really made me love reading. And so I had to buy it immediately, even though I did not have the money or need to buy anything, but I really wanted it. So now I do have one of her books as a signed edition, which makes me really happy. Okay, and the last two books have no emotional significance at all. They are just signed copies of books that I own. And so the first one is This Savage Song by V.E. Schwab. I actually got this at Second and Charles, which is like a thrift store. Well, it's not a thrift store, but it's like thrifted books. It's secondhand. And I was going down the aisles, and this was literally $8.25, and there's literally nothing wrong with it. I was looking to see what was wrong with it for it to be marked down, because a lot of times they also have books at full price, and that is not the full price for this. Full price was $17.99. I got it for $8.25. Had no idea it was. I think it may be that the print on this is a little bit like up high. But I come home and I open it up because I'm telling my friend on FaceTime about it, and I noticed there's a signed card in the book. So I had V.E. Schwab's signature in This Savage Song, and I had no idea when I picked it up at the secondhand bookstore. I came home with it and I was like, I just want to read this book, and I opened it up and found a signature, and that was really cool for me. So I do have V.E. Schwab's signature as well. And the last signed copy of a book that I own is Eleanor Park. I know that there has been a lot of backlash for this book, and I have thought a lot about unhauling it because I do not like agree with the story anymore. But I didn't want to get rid of it because it does have Rainbow Rowell's signature in it. This is another one. It was actually not even, I don't even think it said signed copy on the front. It may have, but I don't think it did. I was just in Barnes & Noble and I opened it up and I saw that. And that was the pure reason I picked this book up. I had read Fangirl, and I liked it in high school, but now looking back, like I see like the problems within this book. It is very problematic, but I can't give it away because it's signed. So like I'm in a moral dilemma here for that. But I do have her signature in this book as well. So those are all books that either have special meaning to me or are signed. Actually, each of these series that have special meaning to me are signed. I would love to get more collector's editions of books and more like signatures in the future, as I've just gotten back into reading, and it's really cool to be able to have collector's items of something that you love or obsessed with. And so I just thought I would share with you the ones I already have. Thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.